afternoon. We're excited to welcome you to today's presentation, the vCISO Edge, Critical Cybersecurity Protection for Financial Services. My name is Kate Smith, and I'm the Vice President of Client Success here at IT Solutions. I'm joined today by our VP of Solution Enablement, Tyler Sanders, as well as Rashwan Saeed, our Manager of vCISO Services and Cybersecurity Consultant, to talk about new opportunities to better support our managed services clients. Thank you for joining me today, gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Hi, everyone.
Great. Before we dive in, I want to cover a few housekeeping items. All attendees are in listen-only mode to avoid any feedback issues. The webinar is being recorded and will be made available to all registered attendees. Please look for the recording in your inbox in the coming days. We love questions, so please feel free to use the Q&A button on the bottom of the Zoom window. We'll field all of the questions at the conclusion of today's webinar. So, as your IT cybersecurity partner, we sit at the intersection of hundreds of client environments, regulatory requirements, and evolving threats. That gives us a unique perspective. We see not just isolated incidents, but patterns and risks that are consistently targeting financial services organizations like yours. What we're seeing today is that the threat landscape is more aggressive, more complex, and frankly, more unforgiving than ever before. Some of the key challenges that our financial services clients face include targeted ransomware and fraud. We all know that financial data is highly lucrative, and attackers know downtime impacts client trust and your market operations. Ransomware and business email compromise remain the top threat in the financial services and continue to become more sophisticated. Evolving regulatory oversight. Organizations like yours face growing scrutiny from regulators. Even firms not formally regulated will eventually feel pressure from clients, insurers, and auditors to prove security maturity, and from threat actors to mitigate costly cyber attacks and breaches. Third-party vendor dependencies. So reliance on custodians or SaaS platforms or fintech tools expand the attack surface. One vendor's breach can put client assets and reputation at risk. Social engineering and insider risk. This is not specific to the financial services industry, but wealth managers and advisors are particularly prime targets for credential theft and wire transfer fraud. Insider mishandling of sensitive financial data adds additional exposure. And then lastly, client trust and reputational damage. A single breach can erode credibility with investors, customers, and partners. Financial service firms often struggle to balance security spend with protecting brand reputation. So what's next? The million-dollar question is, where do we go from here? Fortunately, we have some answers. But before we dive into the vCISO service specifically, let's take a step back and acknowledge where many of us are today. The work and investment we've already committed to securing the future of the organization. Most of you already have a strong foundation in place with tools like MFA, multi-factor authentication, tools like email threat protection to block common entry points. These are essential strategic investments, and they are absolutely necessary. Without them, your risk starts to deteriorate. But here's the challenge. Each of these tools produces signals, data, and alerts, but none of them on their own tell us what matters most in the grand scheme of things. And as we just saw in the threat landscape, ransomware, regulatory pressure, third-party risk, social engineering, these aren't problems we can necessarily solve with these technologies alone. We have the right building blocks, but there's a strategic layer that is inherently missing. This is the piece that ITS recognized in an area that we wanted to improve on. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Tyler and Rashwan, who are going to walk us through the vCISO services at IT Solutions.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Kate. And this is exactly where the vCISO CyberSecure program comes in. It doesn't replace what you've already invested in. It elevates it through executive oversight, a strategic roadmap, and more so your investments are working in harmony, aligned to your business goals, and focused on the risks that matter most. Remember, security, it's a journey and not a destination. So we need to continue to invest in it, continue to develop it, and secure all the vulnerable areas. So we built this program to be more than a service. It's our way of partnering with you beyond what you already receive from your strategic advisors and the technology roadmap standpoint. This gives you clarity and confidence knowing that you're doing what you need in order to be secure. So Rijwan, we've been talking about the threat landscape and the tools most clients already have in place. What exactly is vCISO CyberSecure, and how is it different from the cybersecurity services our clients already have in place?
Sure thing, Tyler. Our vCISO Cybersecure is actually our virtual Chief Information Security Officer program, but it's a lot more than just hours with a vCISO to talk about stuff. We've actually built a true executive level cybersecurity partnership where every one of our clients will get a designated vCISO who works alongside the leadership team and IT teams if they should have them in-house to help them best make the best cybersecurity decisions that are specific to their business. And if the client already has a chief information security officer, this program serves as a partner, as a second set of eyes, and an extension of that team to help the CISO and the organization reach their goals.
Yes, so if a client already has tools like MFA, EDR, maybe even already doing vulnerability scans, what does this program actually add?
So that's a great question. These tools are an absolute essential building block for a client's cyber resilience. But these tools do protect, but they produce signals and tell us on what to act upon, but not strategy. What's missing is a layer of interpreting what those signals are and prioritizing and setting up the overall governance program. And that's where our vCISO CyberSecure comes in. We take those signals, we translate them into business outcomes and helping clients know what to focus on first. It is a partnership with a client. We develop strategic cybersecurity roadmaps. Some of them are, depending on what they want, can be aligned to regulatory frameworks where you don't have that much choice. And it is in alignment with their current business goals and the level of risk that they are willing to accept and tolerate. And then we provide executive ready reporting that would not only satisfy boards and insurance companies, but also provide evidence to regulators that the client is doing what they promised to do as when they signed up to be part of that regulation, and it has that evidence and provides that the regular cycles, the cadence is actually being done.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, this is really why we created the program. We saw that clients invested in strong tools as part of our managed service offering, but some are still asking to go beyond our IT roadmap and technology reports, whether it's to meet the compliance requirements or even just to have a competitive advantage in the market. So vCISO CyberSecure will answer these questions, giving you clarity and confidence at the executive level. Yeah, this is a look at the two different vCISO cybersecure programs that we have. One is really designed for non-regulated businesses, so that's the vCISO cybersecure tier that's shown in the middle. It's for clients that really need or want to strengthen their security posture, be able to reduce risk, and get that executive level support and guidance, but not necessarily, because of strict compliance obligations. So as a best practice, the assessments and deliverables are aligned to a standard framework like the CIS Top 18 controls and includes semi-annual reviews and reporting. Then there's, of course, the regulatory tier, which is the vCISO CyberSecure regulatory. It's the column shown on the right, and that goes a step further. So that's designed for clients who must maintain alignment with specific regulatory frameworks and need ongoing validation to stay secure and audit ready. In this tier, cadence is quarterly, and the advisory goes deeper into compliance oversight.
So I just want to add, as an example, if you were a financial industry that needs to follow GLBA framework, this regulatory tier is built for you. And also to add, it's not about getting you compliant from scratch. It's about having that second set of eyes, structured reviews that ensure that you're not falling behind on evolving regulations and are actually doing everything that is required by the framework along the way. And it ensures that your cybersecurity investments are working for you, helping you meet that compliance check mark every time and not just catching up when that annual review comes up. And to add to that point, if the client is concerned about meeting compliance or understanding where they are today in that journey and how to become fully compliant, we actually offer outside of the program gap assessments that can actually help them understand where they are today, what are the steps needed to be taken both on a MSP, how your MSP can help you, how and what you need to do on your side in processes, procedures, policies for you to become compliant. And then this is the perfect place for the vCISO regulatory come in after you have now become compliant and you needed to maintain compliance year after year. And it's not a once and done sort of deal.
Yeah, and on the other hand, if you're not under those kinds of requirements yet, the standard program gives you the same strategic oversight without all of the compliance focus, so that know that you're preparing and getting ready in case those requirements do change. So our goal here really is to be flexible. It's not to force you down one path. It's to give you a program that meets where you are. Whether you need a best practice framework to mature your security program or regulatory alignment to satisfy auditors, vCISO CyberSecure gives you that flexibility on ongoing support. So on the topic of ongoing support, let's walk through what this program actually looks like in practice. Rizwan, what does a client get when they sign on to vCISO CyberSecure?
Thanks, Tyler. The basic is the foundation. We based this program with two very important parts, which is the security maturity level assessment, which is a deep look into where you are today on a scale of where you need to be and what is missing and what isn't missing. And at the same time, we then dive into building a risk register, which actually goes through and looks at risk that is very specific to your business, to your organization, and which gives us a complete picture of where you are today and what is very specific, what is most important to you. These exercises then feed into two important parts, which is the cybersecurity roadmap, which prioritizes what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and why it needs to happen in what sequence. Then we have that also feeds into an executive dashboard that gives the leadership a clear and holistic picture of risks that are specific to your organization, the progress we're making, and how we're incrementally making you better each time. And right out of the gate, you're not just getting analysis, you're getting evidence-based targets that guide decisions at both the technical and executive levels.
So Rizwan, once these foundations are in place, what happens after that?
So after that, it's continuous oversight. It's the ongoing piece that needs to happen. It's the strategic reviews where vCISO sits down with your leadership and tells you where you are, where you're improving, where you're not improving, any issues getting you there. It's updates to an executive dashboard that gives you that holistic picture. It's an annual cyber risk assessment to refresh, big picture. Are you exposed, what areas are you exposed in, and where you need to focus on. Then there's regular reviews of your dark web exposure, your SOC SIM data, your vulnerabilities, your awareness training, and what it means specific to your organization, and what changes need to happen, maybe even in employee behavior. The point here is consistency. We don't just hand you a roadmap and disappear. We validate progress, interpret signals, and we adjust the roadmap as threats evolve and your business priorities also change.
Yeah, I guess it's a good example, even like a vulnerability assessment report and being able to interpret what comes out of that report, because it's going to spit out pages and pages of potential vulnerabilities, and then putting that plan into action and understanding how to actually reduce some of those vulnerabilities, right? So on top of the reviews, we also provide policy guidance, workshops, support with things like insurance questionnaires, advisory around compliance framework readiness. I mean, these are theoretical exercises. They're the kinds of deliverables you can actually use in board meetings, insurance renewals or audits. They show you that your program isn't just running tools, it's maturing strategically. So when you look at it all together, there's a clear sequence. You establish your baseline, build a risk register and a roadmap, then layer in ongoing oversight and support activities to help your team. The value is that you're not left guessing. You have structure, clarity, measurable outcomes that keep your cybersecurity investments working for you. So we've talked about the engagement model. Let's hone in on the role of the vCISO itself. Rizwan, can you explain more about this, what this person actually does with our clients?
Yeah, thanks, Sahil. So your vCISO are really your cyber security partner at the executive level. They sit alongside your leadership, IT teams, and they're not just talking about your tools and the alerts that you're getting, but they're translating what that means into your business terms, into what outcomes you should be targeting. It talks about cyber risks and priorities that you should be focused on in a holistic manner. They act as an unbiased cybersecurity steward, someone who isn't focused on selling you a product or pushing a single control that will, the next control that will help you become more secure than the last time, but it's about helping you create a sustainable cyber security maturity program. They interpret deliverables like risk registers, dashboards, your security maturity level assessment into actionable next steps that the financial organizations can actually use.
Yeah, and Rizwan, you touched on a little bit that if a client already has a CISO in place, this program's still a great fit because it's not replacing an internal CISO. If you already have one, the vCISO acts as a second set of eyes, an extension of your team. They can validate strategies, help prioritize initiatives, provide extra bandwidth where your internal team might be stretched. You can kind of think of it as reinforcing what's already in place. Your CISO's driving the strategy. vCISO CyberSecure program supports that with structured reviews, reporting, alignment to frameworks. Together, these two, they make sure there's no blind spots that are missed in the cybersecurity, and that the roadmap stays on track. So whether you have a CISO or not, this program's about helping you make informed decisions, reduce risk, and build long-term practices rooted in a risk-informed approach. It's another layer of confidence that your business is focusing on the right risks at the right time. All right, so as we start to close out, let's just recap what makes this vCISO cybersecure approach different to what other IT providers might deliver for the financial services sector.
Yep. So, Tyler, while most providers focus on tools, one-off assessments, and sell hours do you spend with the vCISO, we've done it differently. We built this program to be deliverable based, to be about progress you see, the incremental improvement in your cybersecurity posture. That means instead of checklist exercise, we are giving you deliverables that show real movement, a roadmap, dashboards, maturity growth that you can actually track over time. This year-long record of progress all leads towards reduced risk footprints, enhanced cybersecurity posture, and protecting your bottom line by making sure that you are investing in the right places, and B, protects you from the fallout, the expenses of breaches and problems that are associated, be it your external or your internal threats.
Yeah, and because financial services firms face unique pressures, I mean, from protecting client assets, proving compliance with different frameworks, GLBA, SEC, or PCI, DSS, to maintaining trust and reputation, we tailor the program to those realities. It's not generic cybersecurity. It's built for the expectations and scrutiny you face every day. So the outcome's simple: visibility for leadership, confidence in regulatory readiness, and a program that keeps your cybersecurity investments working towards what matters most in financial services: protecting client trust, safeguarding assets, and demonstrating resilience. Kate, I'll turn it over to you. I think you have a poll for the audience. We want to get into some time for Q&A. So.
Yes, thank you, Tyler. Before we move into Q&A, and by the way, Tyler and Rishwan, thank you. The content was really helpful, and I very much appreciated, understanding the importance of having such a service as it relates to our financial services clients. So thank you for walking us through it. Attendees, I'd love to get your input on an in-person event. We talked today at a high level, very globally, about the service. However, I think there's some value in meeting at an in-person event where IT solutions can bring some of their security experts and vCISOs to ask real questions about client concerns, environments, compliance. If we were to host such an event, what kind of event would you be willing to attend? Our team has put up an in-person event poll. If you'd be so kind as to let us know, what would sort of, engagement you'd be interested in attending. We value your input, and then as such, we'd be happy to plan additional events based on, the likelihood of folks attending. So we covered a lot of ground today, from the evolving threat landscape to the tools that many of us already have in place, really, and finally how our vCISO CyberSecure program can elevate those investments with strategy, oversight, and measurable outcomes. At IT Solutions, we're dedicated to being more than just your IT partner. We feel that we're your partner in business, and our goal is to give you clarity, confidence, and peace of mind that your organization is prepared for what's ahead. We hope you'll consider this program as a way to strengthen your cybersecurity posture, but more importantly, please know that we are here to support you. You can always reach out to your strategic advisor or anyone on the ITS team for that matter with questions or next steps. So since we're fortunate enough to have some extra time today with Tyler and Rishwan, I'm going to open the floor up to some of our Q&A. As we were going through the presentation, we did have a few questions come into the chat. So the first one, we have some cybersecurity tools in place today, like MFA and endpoint protection. How does the vCISO program correlate the investments in those tools with my business? How will the vCISO talk about MFA endpoint in the lens of the program?
I'll take that one, Kate.
Thanks.
So this is a great question. Tools like MFA and EDR, they're absolutely essential. They're the foundation of keeping you protected, but at the same time, they generate a lot of data alerts that need to be interpreted and prioritized. The vCISO program adds that strategic layer. Helps you translate what those signals, that data actually means, and translates that into actionable business outcomes. We provide executive-ready reporting, help you prioritize which risks to work on first, which ones to mitigate first, which ones you need a program for, and then some clients will accept risks, some will not, based on their risk appetite. It's guiding them through that journey, making sure that they understand it, how it impacts their specific business. And it ensures cybersecurity investments are working together effectively. It's about moving from a reactive, something happened, to a more proactive, what more should I be doing? and when should I be doing it? And it's moving from a technical way of thinking it to a strategic way.
I love that. Thank you, Rishwan. That's so helpful. We have a question from one of our attendees. Greg is asking us, would this provide any type of regulatory certification? For example, SOC Type 2.
So this program is not specifically meant as a certification program. So we are not SOC auditors, right? But for you to be ready for an audit, there's a whole journey that needs to be part of it. You need to show that you're continuously, like SOC 2 Type 2 is not a one-time thing where you say, okay, here's everything, I look at it. You need to show a program. You need to show that you're doing something on a continuous basis. The policies are actually being reviewed. The risks are actually being looked at. And this is exactly what this program was designed for, to keep that ongoing cadence and have evidence that we did go through all the steps that these regulatory frameworks require.
That's perfect. And we have firsthand experience with that in our own data center, going through that motion for SOC 2 Type 2 and having those controls in place and having our internal vCISO manage that and continuously check. Thank you, Rishwan. That was very helpful. So the vCISO program does help with regulatory compliance, specifically in some of our industries like the financial services industry. Can you talk about how a vCISO would help with some of those compliance requirements, Rishwan?
Yeah, so the vCISO regulatory program is actually designed to align with specific regulatory requirements, whether it's GLBA, SOC 2 Type 2, different regulatory frameworks for different organizations. We help maintain the ongoing compliance through those structured reviews, the gap analysis, the executive reporting. Our regulatory tier offers deeper quarterly advisories that ensure you're always audit ready and reduces the risk of falling behind those evolving regulations. Because if you're going to be waiting till the last month even to get the evidence together to pass an audit, that's all you're going to be doing. You have to forget about your business and only focus on this. The idea is that everything that should have be done in an entire year, we're spreading it across. We're making sure that those things are being done. The clients are keeping on top of that, and there is evidence-based drivers that show that the progress is being made. Incremental improvements are happening.
That's a great statement. We can help our clients ensure that they are audit ready at any given moment and that we're not reacting at the last moment. I think that that's a great takeaway. That statement really kind of ties in nicely, Rishwan, to the next piece. Most of our clients, all of our clients today on the phone have a strategic advisor that meets with them quarterly to talk about business goals, technology investments, recommendations. If a client were to subscribe to the vCISO service, what can our clients expect in terms of, QBR engagement with the vCISO? And does that complement what they're currently getting today from their strategic advisor?
Absolutely, complement is a great word to put it. It's a strategic partnership. It's the client, the strategic advisor, the vCISO, all working towards a common goal. What the vCISO does beyond what a strategic advisor does is dig in deeper to your cyber governance, to your strategy when it's very specific to cybersecurity. And it's not an overlap. It's working together hand in hand. When the vCISO identifies something that specific to a client, because it's evidence based. Everything is evidence based. We're not making things up. We're not trying to apply a global standard. I mean, while we are trying to apply a global standard, we are not prioritizing it based on a global setting. We are now very detailed, understand where an organization, how mature they are today, what are the most important things, what is the highest risk to a specific organization, and base our recommendations, our security roadmap is based on that. It's not a completely different roadmap that you have to track in addition to what your strategic advisor has. It is a partnership. When the vCISO identifies something, and it's a conversation even before with the client. this is the sequence of events. This is the sequence in which the client should be doing their projects. A different client would have different risks, different requirements, and for them, like, let's do this first because they're most exposed here, versus let's do this because the audit is coming up and it's an important part of their audit because the rules have changed. So it is a partnership. It is a conversation that happens, and the QBR, the quarterly business review, and the QSR happens hand in hand, and the client is getting one aligned image, a one aligned direction. It's not like a strategic advisor telling you one thing, and the vCISO is telling you another. That's not how it's going to work. It's going to work as one team.
There's such value in that, right? In bringing together all of these, disparate perspectives into one harmonious plan. There's such value in that. Team, thank you. Tyler and Rishwan, I really enjoyed today's conversation and presentation. I found it to be very valuable. I don't see any further questions in our chat or our Q&A. So with that, I will wrap today's session, and I'd like to thank our panelists and our attendees. Again, please look for the recap in your email. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.